Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Hard Claim with Bubula Sam. I'm Sam. This is a show where we talk to people who play Blood on the Clocktower and get their player perspective of the game. And this week, we're joined by Helle. Thanks for joining us, Helle.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me, Sam.
Yeah. So we'll start with our first question. You drew the mutant token, and this is your script, Mixed Tweets.
Yeah.
I know this is one you've been working on and running for a long time now.
Yeah.
So you drew the mutant token. So with that said, if we're talking right away, day one, what would you like to claim?
Oh, with this one, I would claim now that there's a Fangu on the script. I would find 3 different roles most likely, and then claim them, and then I might change it. Might pivot to a snake charmer if I feel it, since it's not in play. But I'm most likely not going to break madness.
Okay.
And when there's a Fangu on the script and I'm an outsider, then I will not come out with that I'm an outsider. So
Makes
therefore,
sense.
it didn't matter if I was the mutant or any of the other outsiders. Not early on in the game, at least.
So what kind of 3 characters would you pick out, do you think? Or would you just kind of randomize it?
It will be different depending on the token that I got. With the mutant, I might say some powerful roles, because if I'm targeted by the demon and I die, then it's good for the good. But if we have a Fangu, I could turn evil. Then I also need some good bluffs, I think. I could maybe with this script I could go, of course, village idiot, because you
Oh,
will
yeah.
always have a lot of them. And then
A good way to blend
maybe
in.
gambler. I could also go with the gambler and try to get some hard claims from people.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. So how long ago did you discover Blood on the Clocktower? And how?
Oh, yeah. I actually first saw it in 2018 when I went to the UK Games Expo, but I didn't know it was Blood on the Clocktower at that time. I stayed at the EB Styles Hotel where the Blood on the Clocktower crew also were, and I saw this dude with this long hair, this, what do you call it?
Dreadlocks.
The dreadlocks. And then people running around with notes and sitting in a circle. So I thought, that must be some kind of a werewolf game. And that was actually Blood on Clocktower. I didn't get around to play it at that time. But that was the first time I saw it. The first time I really learned about it was when I joined the Dice Tower crew with the werewolf games. There you also had people that played Blood on the Clocktower. And my first game was with Nam. Nam. Nam Lee. He story told the very first game that I played.
Do you remember what
I
that?
did become the demon in the very first game. That was pretty stressful, I remember.
Yeah, my very first game, I was Imp and Trouble Brewing. So yeah.
Yep, Trouble Brewing. I was the Imp, but I bluffed as the mayor and got a mayor win.
Amazing.
Mayor win.
Do you remember anything else about that first game? What it was like? How it played out?
Yeah, I remember it was pretty stressful being the demon. And it was with a lot of my friends that hadn't played before, and then Namlo's storytelling. We had a couple of experienced players, and I think one of them kind of knew I was the demon, but let us play without outing me. So
that's always good. Were you hooked right away, or do you remember about when you were hooked to the game?
It was pretty much when I played the first game, and I saw videos about the game too. Especially after I played it, because at that time I played Werewolf, and then I had played games where you had maybe 24 players. It was online, and if you died like the first and you're out, when I then played this where you get to play the whole game, you all have roles where you have a special character each. That is what I really like about this game.
All right. So how many games do you think you've maybe played over the years? Do you have an estimate?
I actually recorded it, but I stopped it. But I'm mostly I will storytell games like you do, right?
Right.
But I think I must have played at this point. I played since 3 years, since March 2021. And we played a lot during the COVID.
Mhm.
So I must be up at between 600 and 1,000 games, maybe. A lot.
Cool.
I
And
can
how
ask
often?
Robbie how
Oh
many
yeah,
games I've played with him. And then,
right.
yeah.
How often do you get to play currently?
Currently, it's not as often now. I have my streams on Sunday where we play at least 2 or 3 games. And then sometimes I will play during the week. And sometimes, not that often, then I do also set up some in-person games.
How often do you get to do in-person games?
That is not that often. That is maybe, what have I done this year? Two, 3 times so far. So maybe not that often, 6 to 10 times. Oh, I played. Oh, that's not true. I played at the UK Games Expo too. I didn't set the games up though. Oh, and also played some conventions, but maybe in all it would be 1 or 2 times a month, maybe 1 time a month.
It's not too bad.
If
More than
you
I get to
take
play
it
at least.
here, right?
um,
Most is online.
yeah, that's fair. Online's just easier to set up and get into and get people
Yeah,
for. You don't have to get a location. And
it is.
so what do you think about the differences between playing online and in person?
I like both, but I do very much like, of course, to play in person, where you
Hmm.
can get to talk and to more people, but there are more often storytelling. I like both, but I also like that when you play online, when you have some characters where you need to track stuff, it's
Hmm.
easier to track if you're the spy or if you are the town crier, the flower girl, the savant. Then it's easier. Oh, actually, it was okay when we did it in person because I was the savant. Then I got it on my phone, could write it down on my phone, right?
Yeah. I was curious if so. Obviously, I only ever play or speak English, but I was curious if you ever play games in not English.
Yeah, I do play the games in Danish. I have a group on Facebook called London Clocktower DK, and there we set up some games and have also played some in-person games.
I always think about the progression of being a clock tower player. You start as a beginner, you play enough, and you're kind of more intermediate, and then I would describe as experienced. Do you remember what that progression was like for you? Like maybe like some like light bulb moments that happened during that time.
No, I think I just played a lot at the start, and as you play, you get better and you get to know all the characters. So
Hmm.
it's easier when you have now. I'm familiar with the Trouble Brewing, with the Six and Violets, and with the Bad Moon Rising characters. Then it's just easy, right? And when you have the new characters, you learn them, and you have all the custom scripts. But if you're familiar with each role, then it's easy. At the start, it was like, woof, what is going on? And all these characters, you
Right.
need to read them. And yeah, but it's you get that if you sometimes play the homebrew, where all the characters are different. Then you are back to square one nearly, not
Yeah.
quite, but nearly. So
Do
it
you?
came gradually, but it is a game you need to play a lot to become kind of familiar and good, and also what can you call it, where you feel safe playing it, and you feel I'm looking for a word here.
Yeah, I'm
It's
not
not
sure.
safe, but you feel comfortable. You
Oh
feel
yeah, yeah.
comfortable playing the game without stress, and because especially when you get when you are evil, then I think
Hmm.
it's more stressful playing the game. But when you are more comfortable in the roles and comfortable with playing, then it gets easier also to play as evil, I think.
Yeah, I remember that kind of progression for myself because I mean, even still today, being an evil player is a bit stressful, but yeah, I can take it more easily now. Like you said, kind of
Also,
the comfort level of the game, but also just kind of realizing, well, if I lose on day one, nobody cares. We just re-rack and do it again.
exactly, and that's the point, because at the start we were so, oh, but if I die, then the game is over and my team will lose. But I have if it have taken me a lot of games to figure out it's not important whether you win or lose. It's important to have fun with the people you're playing with. It's not that important
Absolutely.
if you win or lose. It's more important that you all are having fun.
Yeah, and that's
And
what
that is
this.
for a person that have played a lot of games playing to win, and that you need to. It's really not important. Of course, you play to win, but it's most important that you have fun. And if you have a day one re-reg, no problem. It's okay.
Right.
It's okay. No
I have
stress.
I've been on the TPI stream and had some very high profile games where I was the evil player. Sometimes it's a brand new character and lose in a day or so, and I was like, well, cool.
Yeah, that can happen.
Yeah.
I mean, you Slayer shot first day, yeah, game over. If you hit
Yeah,
the
I've seen
demon,
that happen
then there's no
before.
starting point, right?
So when you sit down, you're about to draw a token out. You haven't quite drawn it yet. What are you thinking, or how are you feeling? Are you kind of filling out the script, filling out the players, not really worrying about it?
It depends on the script, but mostly I like to be good or be a character that can turn from good to evil.
Gotcha. So you don't necessarily want to start evil, but you don't mind turning evil.
Yeah, I don't mind being a minion, but or if I'm the demon, then a demon that can somehow jump away from me.
So like the script has both Imp and Fangu and
Yeah,
Barber. So
exactly.
yeah, so you got some options
Exactly.
here.
Because I like to be able to jump somehow, or maybe be the leech where hey, come at me, it doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense too.
Because yeah, so that is some of my favorite demons. Because if there's sus on you and you're a demon that can't move away, then it's kind of like I can't really do anything about it.
Yeah, we ran a game where it was an Al Hadikia game, and everybody started sussing out the demon, and he was able to get the barber killed basically the night before he got executed, and he's able to swap off, and Evil ended up winning that game, and
Yeah.
Barber was the key thing there.
Yeah, we actually had at the UK Games Expo, we had a 20-player game where it was Ben Burns that ran it. I was sitting next to Stuart, and next to Stuart was the Dreamer, and they dreamt Stuart. Then they dreamt me. I was the Imp.
Hmm.
No, the Fangu. I was the Fangu.
Oh yeah.
And we had a pit hack. It was 6 on violets. And I just managed to talk to our pit hack and get them to change a person into an outsider and then jump before I was killed. They killed Stuart, and I would have died the next day. So if I hadn't been able to jump, we would have lost the game. So that was an awesome moment.
Right.
And somehow we managed to win the game in the end.
That's always great. Are there any specific characters in the game that you just like really like playing as, or playing against even?
Yeah, I like if you have the Mecephalus. Now I haven't put it on here because I have the pit hack and the goon. No, not the goon at the moment. This is a script I have always changed a bit, especially
Right.
when there comes new characters out. I would add them in, but I like the goon. I like the pit hack. Being the pit hack as a minion because I think it's pretty powerful. And yeah, I and then the leech, of course. The goon. I like to be the goon because I can turn evil. Or the cult leader.
Oh yeah, yeah. How do you feel about one of the newer characters is Ogre?
I really like the ogre.
Me too.
That is, yeah, because I think it's a fun thing you get to do. You get to pick a player. They are your friend, and then you need to convince them, of course, and then vote with them and hope that you weren't poisoned or something when you chose them.
Well, the character is even designed so even in its ability text, if it's drunk or poisoned, it still happens.
Oh, because I had a game where I was the cannibal, but I was a cannibal and I was poisoned.
Oh yeah, cannibal. Yeah,
Therefore,
cannibal
I
is a
don't
little
get
different.
the
Yeah,
ability.
yeah. Cannibal.
So,
Cannibal, I think, is a weird one with Ogre. I don't really like it as a combination, but yeah, that's a whole other thing, I guess.
yeah, but yeah,
Are there any characters you prefer to avoid if you can?
Yeah, there are. I think Fearmonger. Sometimes also the Harpy. Also kind of the investigator and the bounty hunter. I would also sometimes avoid because the ones where you have it's the games where I will have people that maybe can get more in conflict with each other when you have those type of characters in the game. So
Yeah.
if I want more peace in the game, then I would go for the evil twin. But that's kind of okay. That's not kind of the same. But the others, and yeah.
Kind of characters that
So
kind of draw that direct conflict.
yeah, and when if you are the outsider and not the outsider, if you are the minion and there's a bounty hunter ping on you, then it can also be man because you might die
Hmm.
pretty early and can't really
Yeah.
do anything, right?
Are there
If they
characters?
are bounty hunter.
Are there characters you like to bluff, whether you're good or evil? I know
Not
earlier
really.
you mentioned maybe
I
pivoting as a mutant, pivoting to Snake Charmer. I didn't know if you had maybe a specific reason for that, for example.
That is because I will select characters and then I will kind of when you talk to people learn if they are all in play and then I might pivot to say, hey, I was actually the snake charmer or something. I mean, I would also maybe do if I was evil, but if I was a snake charmer, I would play it in the same way because I would never claim to be the snake charmer if I am the snake charmer,
Fair.
unless it's very late in the game and I will start to pick myself.
Right.
But often I will not pick myself if I'm the snake charmer. But at the start, I will try and pick people I think that are not the demon.
Okay. Of the three base scripts, of course, Trouble Brewing, Bad Moon Rising, Sex and Violets. Which of those would you say is your favorite?
I think, Trouble Brewing is always great to play. I like, and at the start of when I played, I wasn't that happy about Bad Moon Rising, but it has changed. You need to play it a bit because it's kind of like, I think maybe a little bit more advanced script. But Sex
Definitely
and Violence
different.
I really enjoy because there's a lot of chaos in the game, and I know,
Right.
yeah, and I like chaos.
One of the things Sex and Violets adds is madness. How do you like the madness mechanic?
I think it's okay. I think it's okay with the madness.
Yeah. Do you have
So
any?
it brings some fun elements in the game, and also easier for you to bluff as evil. If you have the pixie, you have the seven novus, you have the
Mhm.
mutant. They will also bluff as something. They don't have to be mad, but they can't claim to be an outsider if they don't want to get executed. So I think it brings more to the game where you can kind of say, okay, maybe we have some double claims. It's okay. There's a pixie or there's a seven novus on the script, so it can give evil players a little bit of a break too.
Yeah.
But you can also, as a server knows, maybe if you have some people that have good information, you can keep them from coming out with their information, unless they want to break madness, of course.
Yeah, I think that pretty much covers what I like about Madness too. It helps give people some cover,
Yeah.
and it's essentially misinformation without it being drunkenness or poisoning.
Yeah.
Sex and Violence, for example, is very information heavy script. So if you're trying to be,
Yes.
if you have to be mad as I don't know anything, savant, for example, you're probably going to be putting out misinformation while not being able to really get out your own. So yeah, it's
Exactly.
pretty
Oh,
fun.
but there, if you are the savant, you can be sneaky and put your information in the savant info.
Right. Yeah, that always enjoy seeing people trying to work that out as best as possible
Yeah.
while still trying to convince people that they are, savant or whatever. Yeah.
I actually just had it in a game we played was it last Sunday where we had one that was the dreamer, and then they were mad about being the juggler. It was like, oh, but what did you juggle? And I juggled this person as this and this and this. So
Yeah.
you can be creative.
So which do you have one of those scripts that you think is your least favorite?
On this script,
Of the base scripts, the Bad Moon Rising, Trouble Brewing. It kind of sounds like maybe Bad Moon Rising. I'm not sure. But
No, because I've come to like it more.
Okay.
So I think, I mean, I think I like all three base scripts, but I think I like Six and Violet the most of those three. And then the other two, they are both, yeah, kind of the same, I think.
And I feel
But
like I've seen
I
a lot
play
of
more Trouble Brewing, of course, because when you have to introduce new players, and
right.
it's always easy to play Trouble Brewing. With a +1, we often play it with a +1.
Oh yeah,
So we spice it up a bit.
I'm glad you mentioned it because I wanted to ask you about that a bit because I know it's something you all do a lot. A +1, and
Yeah.
other kind of like homebrew or homebrew adjacent kind of things. So what do
Yeah.
you enjoy about that kind of stuff?
Yeah, homebrew. We don't play homebrew that often. Of course, custom scripts, but not homebrew. We did during the COVID. I think we played a lot more also
Hmm.
homebrew, but not at the moment. That is more the base scripts and then a lot of custom scripts where we will also put in the new characters when they are out. And we could maybe also explain the +1. The +1 just means that we play Trouble Brewing plus a character, out of script character. That
Right,
can be either a townsfolk, an outsider, a minion, or a demon. So we spice it up a bit so they don't quite know all the characters that are in the game.
right. And I don't usually really run that or play that, but I know I like a fish bucket from time to time.
Yeah, yeah. Then you have a lot of characters.
Yeah. So that's come up with some fun scenarios.
Yeah.
All right, I do like to ask about a selection of what I would call divisive characters, just to see what people think about them. So we'll start with the first one, and I have a feeling I know what you'll say here. But Snake Charmer, how do you feel about Snake Charmer?
Oh, I like the snake charmer. There's the fun one where there's a high risk but also a great reward in choosing people each day, because if you do not become the demon, you can clarify a lot of people that are not the demon.
Right.
But if you become the demon, then it becomes stressful, but also fun. Yeah.
I remember a game. This was several years ago, but me and you were both playing in it, and I always remember this just because of how it played out. But I was the demon. I think I was a Fangu, and I got snake charmed, and then you died that night. So I was like, she died that night. That's somebody I can trust. And I went and told you, I was like, I was a demon. I became the snake charmer. You're like, oh, interesting. How does that work? And you're looking at the script. Long story short, you had snake charmed me and then also killed an outsider that night. So you died and somebody else is a demon. And I'm here confiding into the person that snake charmed me. And that was really fun. That was also a good, talking about those kind of like light bulb moments almost. That was a good, I feel like a light bulb moment for me. Like, oh yeah, this is a thing that can happen, and I should be aware of going forward.
And if there was an oracle, maybe they could clarify it. Oh, they suddenly have a 1 or a 2.
Yeah, I think I ended up losing that game if I'm not mistaken, but
I can't remember.
yeah, I can't remember. It was fun though.
Yeah.
All right, so how do you feel about Poppy Grower?
Ooh, I have it on this script, and I think it's fun. I have had some fun games with it, but it also, of course, more stressful for the evil team when you have it.
Right.
But I think you can have some fun games, especially with experienced players. I wouldn't recommend it with the beginner players to play with the Poppy Grower. You need
Right.
some experienced players, but you can have some very fun moments. Also because now you have the evil team that doesn't even know for sure who they are on, and you will see when you have the voting that it can be hard to get people on the block because evil, they are afraid of voting. It could be one of their teammates they're voting for.
And I noticed this script has some interesting combinations that kind of help out with that. Imp, you could star pass to a minion, hoping they're alive anyway. Fangu helps a little bit. Leech, Scarlet Woman helps.
Yeah,
Pit Hag is pretty scary with a.
Yeah, it is. It is, but it's still fun because there's a risk when you do it.
Yeah.
You could pit hag your demon if you don't know who the demon is.
Somebody yesterday was telling me a story about it was a Poppy Grower game and they got pit hagged like night 2, like right away, and into a non-demon and just lost without even being able to get a chance to do anything.
Yeah. Or you can also have, oh, what was it? Was it with the snake charmer or something? Where if you have the snake charmer that jumps and then the pit hack changes them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that can happen even in Sex and Violence, and it's been a long time since I've seen that happen, but it definitely can happen.
I've seen it happen. Where, yeah, then there's no demon anymore because they're changed into something else. But you can have some fun moments. We also have recently the barber. I can remember I was the summoner, and it was a pop. No, it was. I think it was a puppy grow game, and I was swapped with someone else and became a townsfolk, and someone else became the summoner. Yeah, so
that's fun.
Yeah.
All right. So, how do you feel about Atheist?
That is also one I like to have on script, but not often. I will do it sometimes so you can have an atheist game and people can just have fun. You creating some craziness in town, but also gives a way for the evil team to bluff and play it out as it is an atheist game.
Yeah.
So I think it's a fun, but not one I will often play with on scripts. It's for sometimes.
Yeah, I think that makes sense for that one because it's such a. I mean, obviously, about as much game changing as you can get for a for a character. Yeah,
it's kind of the same with the Heretic, right? Where I do have some scripts where I think it's fun to have it on, but it's not one I will have on play a lot.
Yeah, well, Heretic actually was the next one I was going to ask about. So how do you feel about it then?
I actually think you can have some fun games with the Heretic. And I have a script I've made with the Heretic, but where you have a lot of outed evil characters, where like also like the psychopath and Seven Overs, but so it can be a game where you kind of also have to be careful who are you axing, and
right.
you have and I like at the start I really didn't like the Heretic, but when I have played with it more, I like it more because I think there's another kind of game in the game where you have to figure out as evil and also as good. Do you have a heretic?
Yeah.
And are you and the evil? Should you kill yourself or not? So I like that extra element in it.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. You know, not everybody does like that mini puzzle, which is understandable. I figure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like it for kind of like what you said with you know, you don't want it all the time, but it's fun to kind of throw it in every now and then.
Yeah.
And I feel similarly about this next character, and this is the last one for this section. How do you feel about Legion?
That was actually kind of like the same, where at the start I was not that happy about it, but I have come to like it. And I think it's the more you play with it, because again, it's kind of like with the Heretic. Yeah, you have the paranoia. Do you think it's a Legion game or not?
Mm-hmm.
And who can you trust? And as a storyteller, when you have to set up the game, you really have to think about the good roles you put in. So you have a way that you think that the good team can find each other. So they're not going to get stumbled, right? So it's a balance again, but I have some great games where you go down to the final three in a Legion game, and I think you can have some fun games in that way.
Yeah, and I'm curious if you've experienced the same thing I have, where you know I have players who have played literally hundreds of games together. I feel like when they are Legion, they're pretty effective at being able to work together, work out what they're going to bluff, try to paint a pretty realistic world.
And they have to. They have to be able to win.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I have another section here that I like doing, kind of like a multiple choice, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So our first one, we have General, Steward, or Al-Sahir.
Al-Sahir?
You like Al-Sahir?
I think it's a fun thing that you can go and try and and claim who you think are evil and maybe even win with it.
We in a recent game I played, we had a player who wasn't the Al-Sahir, but did make a public guess, and on day 2 had it completely right.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I was like blown away, but yeah, unfortunately, you know, they were not the Al-Sahir. So
yeah.
how do you feel about like? Oh, sorry, go
I
ahead.
just thought that we had that one where we had a Fangu. So when they jumped, so they had to get 2 demons right, and then
Mm-hmm.
also minions. So they had to get everything right. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Yeah, that can be tough. Yeah.
Mm.
How do you feel about the general and the steward? Since I brought them up.
I actually like the general. I think that it. I know at the start you might think, oh, it's not that powerful, but I actually think it is because it can give you a knowledge about how the game is going. Are you going in the right direction or not? So I
Right.
actually think it can be powerful, and I also like this steward where you. But yeah, you don't of course know if you're poisoned or not, but. Because it's a one-time ability you have with the general, you will get more information, right?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, if then I like the ogre better, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Ogre's fun. I like Steward for it's it's kind of like a low key character. You
Yeah,
learn somebody you can trust, and then then that's your game. General's good. I like a lot of people sleep on it, unfortunately, and underestimate it.
exactly.
But if you're getting 1 or 2 nights of information, it's probably not that good. But once I've ran games where their information combined with if they can talk to a certain other player, just in the worst case scenarios, at least worst case for evil, just solves the game.
Yeah, yeah, and especially if you've have you killed any evil players or not? If you
Hmm.
suddenly go from really evil until neutral or good, then maybe we're on the right track now.
I've also ran games where a poisoned general really hurt the good team to the point of costing them the win because uh,
Yeah, they
their
get wrong
information
information.
had them going in a different direction, and yeah, it was interesting to see.
It can, but that's like with the fortune teller and empath if they are poisoned, right? It
Hmm.
can
Yeah,
mislead town.
I've been that poison empath before who went off their information and turned out they were sitting right next to a demon and
Well, can we trust empath? I
right.
don't think so.
All right, next question: a golem, heretic, or politician?
Mm, Golem or heretic? I
Okay.
would say. I actually think heretic could be fun because you have a knowledge. You have a knowledge of that you need
Right.
to not kill the evil team. You need to kill a lot of good players, right? But the golem, I like the golem that they can actually execute someone, kill someone during the day, but then they can't do anything afterwards. But they still have a power,
Yeah.
and yeah,
How do you feel about politicians?
I actually haven't really played like the politician. I think not much. That is not a role I often put in my scripts either,
Yeah,
because
it's a difficult
it's a
one
tough
to.
one.
Yeah.
It's a tough one, I think, but because then to balance the line, if you have done enough to help for the evil team, if you want to play for the evil team, so it's not one I have played with much.
Fair enough. Uh, so a little bit behind the scenes, I have randomized all these, so these questions are randomized. But I think this one is, for myself, would probably be one of the tougher ones. Psychopath, widow, or summoner?
Psychopath. That's easy for me.
Probably would be the one I would pick too. What do you like about the
That is
psychopath?
that is a fun role, and you can be outed evil, and that is totally fine. So yeah, you can axe away and be good at Rochambeau, then you'll do fine.
Yeah.
I think
Uh,
it's a fun, and I don't mind being an outed evil at all.
yeah, it's a fun one. Summoner is one of the newer characters. How do you feel about that one?
It's a bit stressful when you're the summoner because you need to survive. You need to survive until you can select the demon. But once you have managed to survive and you select the demon, then you can just, "Phew, I've done my job. It's okay. I can play chaotic after that." So
Uh,
it's fun, I think, but also a bit stressful.
yeah.
Playing the summoner.
I have been the summoner twice, and once I won, and the second time was on the reveal stream, and that was one where I died day 2, and
Oh no!
so 1,000 people watching.
No worries. I have been in
Yeah,
it once, and we did manage to go through. That was where I was barber swapped with a townsfolk.
Oh, right, yeah. That's yeah. I wonder if a good summoner can just like pick themselves. That would be an interesting option, I guess.
Yeah, but then you would be a minion, right? Or like an evil player. Then
Yeah, oh yeah, you'd be turning yourself into an evil demon, and
exactly.
yeah, which
I
some
wouldn't
people
do
might like,
it.
some wouldn't. So I don't know. It would be
Yeah,
interesting either way, I guess.
yeah, that's true.
All right. So one last one for the section: Legion, Yagababel, or Leviathan.
I think actually I would choose Legion.
Okay.
Or maybe Jägerbabel. But it's also a bit stressful being the Jägerbabel. Then you need to say the phrase, right?
Yeah.
Depending on which phrase you have, then I think the Jägerbabel can be fun. But yeah, it's one of the characters. It depends very much on if you're a player that talks a lot in town or not. Because if you're a person that never says anything, right?
Yeah.
And you are the Jägerbabel, then it's not fun.
Yeah, and I guess the storyteller would try their best to work that in. For me,
Yeah,
running it's very stressful because of that reason.
I mean, I like to if you have like the gossip or the savant or something, I would give that as a bluff roll. And I did run Jägerbabel recently, and I gave them the bluff with the gossip, so they could gossip each day, and then in
Right.
that way sing it.
Yeah, that's good. Yep. All right. Well, I have one last question here. Looking at the script here, what character would you like to be in real life?
In real life,
Real life.
oh,
You can interpret that however you'd
I
like.
need a kid hack so I could change people.
Change your character.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would be fun.
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
like that one. All right. So, is there anything else you'd like to plug before we go?
Not that I can think of.
Right. Don't want to do your Twitch or your Discord?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, if you're not familiar with it, we both play in the same group, but I have the European time zone and you play in is that American time zone, right? So we
Yeah,
often
yeah.
don't get to play together because when you're playing games, it's 3 a.m. at my time. But I
Right.
do have a little Twitch channel, Game for Life BG, where we play, where I stream each Sunday. I stream games there and sometimes else. But yeah, yeah, you can find me and some of the players that also play in Sam's games will play in with me too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. And we'll put that link in the description of this video so people can go directly there. All right. Well, Hella, thank you for joining us.
thank you for having me, Sam.
All right. And thank you all for watching this week. We'll be back next week with another episode of Hard Claim. See you later.